Hello, happy Sunday Sunday. How are you today? We are all in the midst of storms. Ooh, that's a good metaphor actually. We have some actual storms and maybe some internal storms going on as well. It's thundering here in New Mexico and snowing a little bit in Colorado. I think this is Mother Nature's last hurrah before the actual start of spring. We've been having a lot of conversations. We always have conversations offline about things that are going on in our life and things that we want to, discuss on the podcast. And one of the topics that we have brought up several times amongst us is how we work through aging parents, how we work through difficulties, how do we navigate the difficulties of, reconciling the parent-child relationship, because we've all well, maybe not all, but most of us have had challenging relationships with our parents. And sometimes those issues, at least for me, they're showing up more as I grow older. So that's what we want to talk about today. We want to talk about the aging parent, the relationships that we might be struggling with, and how we navigate this hard part in our life. So the rain, I don't know if you guys can hear the rain, but the rain just started hard here. So who wants to go? I'm going to mute.
I guess I'll start. So I have what I consider three parents, my two biological, of course, and my bonus mom. And my bonus mom and my dad are in very good health, and they are not in need of any kind of support from me. And I feel like I need them more than they need me. I call them for advice. I talk to my dad several times a week. Some of us just came back from Mexico. We celebrated his 75th birthday, and 2 days before that, he's ziplining with my sister in the mountains of Mexico, and he's 75. So he's quite healthy, and he's overcome he had three different types of cancer. He's come through with cancer. And then on May 15th is going to be the 3-year anniversary of my mother passing. And gosh, it might even be the 2-year. I don't keep track of that because I don't know why. I guess I kind of just blocked that out. I already know she's not here. So for her, she had Parkinson's. She had a lot of other ailing issues. And her life was a struggle. She passed away at 71. And as we talk about this kind of offline, I have a lot of guilt for not bringing her into my home and not taking care of her because her housing situation wasn't the best. She was living with a family member, and I don't think that she was really happy in her last days. And I would have loved to have brought her home with me. And even when she was in an assisted living in Colorado, in Denver, because she passed away in Texas, it was a nice facility, but I felt like looking back, I just went there to fill up her her medication machine. Sometimes I'd stay for dinner. I could have spent more time with her. And so when I reflect back, there's a lot of guilt of not spending enough time with my mom and even not treating her like an adult. Like, she's been here longer. Why am I not showing this woman more respect? If she wants to do this, why am I giving her a hard time about doing this? Why am I treating her like a child? And I feel like in some cases I treated her like a child. And so that's been the hardest thing dealing with because I can't tell her I'm sorry. All I can do is make sure that I don't make that same mistake with my other two parents that are still here. So
You said a couple things that I think that we can springboard from there. And the one that really sticks out for me is the way the relationship changes. And you're talking about, telling her she can't do this or she can do that. And that's definitely, Caroline and I share the parental figures. So our mom is definitely at that stage in her life where like the roles are reversed, and we feel a lot like we're the ones sort of telling her, you can't do this, you can't do that. But it comes from a place of, her health. Her health has really deteriorated over the last 3 to 5 years. And our mom, we grew up in Chile, and my mom has a home there, and that she misses. And it's a constant argument when she states that she wants to go back home. Particularly because we know her health is frail, and a lot of her health issues probably, stem from years of not caring well for herself. It's almost a knowing that if she leaves, she's going to get worse. We just flat out say she will more than likely die if she chooses to go back and live the way that she thinks she still can live. And this is, I think, one of the hardest things to navigate as we see our parents get older. is seeing their limitations because we see them, but we have a very hard time, holding up the mirror to our own selves, right? And really seeing our limitations. And I think that's very true for our mom. She believes that she is still capable of, living independently, cooking for herself, taking care of a huge piece of land that needs wood chopped, and she has running water, but she also has a well. She has a huge piece of property that needs maintenance. And at one point she did all of that. She cut down trees and she hired people to help her, chop wood, and she had tons of birds. My mom is an avid bird lover, but I see her limitations. I see her growing weaker, like literally even just walking. My mom lives in a property adjacent to mine, 50 feet away. Even just walking those 50 feet, I can see how draining that is for her, but she doesn't see it. Sometimes that's where the fights are, because she gets very stubborn and wants to exert her independence, which is rightfully hers. But again, as the parents now, the roles shift and you become the parent, you see what your loved one can and cannot do. And it creates a lot of friction, creates a lot of frustration, sometimes resentment, because you're just like, why can't you just do as I say? Why can't you see what I see? So that's one thing that I got from what you said, or that I can relate to what you just said. But I hear what you just said about, I mean, we all know that none of us are getting out of this alive, right? We've said that before, and I know that road is not far away. Well, who knows? It could be 10 years down the road. I know that road is probably closer for our mother, because of her health and because she's, mid or early 80s. She's almost 83. I do worry about having those regrets that you mentioned, Shannon. That I could have been more loving. I could have been kinder. I could have been, a better listener. I could have been a better daughter. And like, I'm fully aware of that. And I have those moments where I just like get so angry at myself for the way that I interact with her, because I'm not coming from a loving place. I'm coming from I'm annoyed and I'm pissed off and I'm angry and I'm bitter. I hate the taste of that in my mouth.
But we know that anger is a secondary emotion. You are coming from a loving place.
I was just thinking about that when you were talking, Paula, and Shannon. I think that I wonder if part of the reason we react the way that we do in those controlling ways sometimes, wanting them to behave a certain way or do a certain thing, it's from love. We just want to take care of them and for them to be okay. And we've also not ever been in that kind of relationship with them before, having to care for them in that way. But I think part of it is grief, knowing that you're just in a different season, with them. And maybe it's not a conscious, level of grief, but it's like you don't want what you know is going to happen, you know? Like, I know I don't
Mhm.
wanna say goodbye to my parents, like, it makes me tear up thinking about it, you know? But I know it's inevitable,
Yeah.
and it's what's supposed to happen, so I don't know, it's so funny how we always have those dualistic things, like, it's the right thing to do, but then it comes with the conflicting feelings, and I don't have any answers for that, I just can identify it.
That's an important thing that to be able to do is to identify it. Savvy.
I know that you had said it's like the roles are reversing, and that is something that I myself tried to prepare for a long time ago because I've been in the healthcare field over 20 years and I've watched families have to go through this. So I tried to prepare myself, and but there really isn't preparation for it because I find that my mother gets very frustrated with me because I do care for her and love her. And because I'm burnt out in the healthcare field, I can't give all that I wanted to give her that I gave other patients, which makes it difficult. So a lot of times I'm like trying to set up services and get other people to step in, but she's just refuses for other people to come in and help. She's very adamant about that. And it's difficult to navigate through that because at this point, when the roles reverse, there was once upon a time where they knew best for us, right?
Mhm.
As children. And now we definitely know, like we're in a wiser place. We're in a mature spot in our life. And we now know best for them because we're seeing things that they're not seeing. Like you said, they're not seeing it. They don't get it. Like, so it's hard to navigate and get them to understand. That's what I'm myself am facing as these roles have reversed. And it's been difficult.
It is. I think to say that is difficult is like an understatement, right? Because it's like it consumes your life, and you're still trying to live your own life. I think all of us still, well, some of you still have young children. Mine is grown. But it's such a dichotomy at this stage in your life because like in certain aspects, our life is really top notch right now because for the most of us, we've been in our careers for years and years. We're starting to look towards retirement and everything that could hold. And the kids are older, maybe they're out of the house. And so like our life is changing in a positive direction, right? Then there's this challenge that comes along with that the people that we have loved and who have loved us the most are on a different, like we're kind of at the peak. We're coming to the peak of our journey and they are on their way down. So there's also this conflict of like, I want to enjoy this part of my life and all the work that I've done and be able to enjoy the fruits of my labor. But at the same time, you've got this balancing act that we now have to try to maneuver with parents that need more from us. And that takes away the joy of this other part of your life that is now in a really good spot. So I think that sometimes that's where the resentment comes in a little bit. And I struggle in my mind how to, work lovingly through that because I wouldn't not want to provide care for my aging parents. That's something that I want to be able to do. It's a lot.
I think that's where we focus, is that we want to be able to provide for our parents and take care of them because it is a gift. We get to do this part for them. We get to.
It's true.
And that's special, Not everybody gets to do that. Not everybody gets to see their dad through heart issues or see their mom through lung issues and now possibly memory issues. And we get to be by their side. We have our homes, we have our children, we have each other. We don't have to put our parents into assisted living. We get to do that for them. So that's kind of where my feelings stem from is I have not pain, but I have a longing to take care of my mom, especially, but I feel like she kind of pushes me away because she, in her mind, is still like 45 years old. In her mind, she is not sick. In her mind, she does not get tired when she walks 50. In her mind, she can still clean the chicken coop. In her mind, she's really good at dishes. She's not. Every time you get a dish out of the pantry, it's like crusty still with eggs, or like the wine glass still possibly has wine in it. Like in her mind, she's really good at a lot of things. And it's challenging because we want to help and we want to do better for her. And she doesn't want it. She doesn't want our help. So that's where the stubbornness comes in. And I feel like that's where the butting heads comes in, because I kind of approach things differently with my mom, whereas I have like gratitude that I get to be around her, that I get to spend my birthday with her. I've gotten to do that 2 years in a row now. And, through my childhood and even in my 20s, like I really had a longing to just be with my mom on my birthday. I just wanted to be with her. And I didn't have that opportunity very often. And yes, I do agree that the roles are reversed. Like we have become their parents, but mostly, I mean, we are still children. We're still children and we are still their children, our parents' children. They deserve to be treated that way. They deserve to be treated with dignity. They deserve to be treated as elders. And, I get to be a part of that.
Scoopalicious.
What you said was, Carolina, about like it's an honor for you to take care of your mom and stuff, and I found it inconvenient, to be honest, and I feel really guilty for that. And I said multiple times, I can remember telling my mom, we have to work, we just can't quit our jobs to take care of you, Mom. I said that to her so many times because she wanted us to take care of her. She needed full-time care in the house and I couldn't stop working to take care of her. I didn't have that capability to do that. 2 years later, like I said, she passed away 2 years ago. 2 years later, I probably could. My son's at home. I work from home. I could probably make that work. But even when I couldn't make it work, I didn't have to tell her, we just can't quit our jobs to take care of you, mom. So the way we talk to our parents, and I hate to say we're in a parent role. I'm not her parent. I wouldn't say that I'm in the role. I would say, or that title. Yes, have role. Like, when did we transition from being the one to be cared for to the one to care for them? So it's different for all of us. But I think just being mindful of how we speak to them so that we don't have these regrets later. I'm like that now with my dad and my bonus mom with Julia. And just be kind. And I don't feel like I was. And maybe I'm too hard on myself. I don't know. But that resonates with me, is just, it's like I made her feel like an inconvenience. And that sucks. I'm sorry, Mom.
I hear that from our mom too, because I think she feels it. When she begins to have those feelings is when she really digs in and starts talking about leaving. And then we push back and say, no, you're not leaving because of XYZ. When we start saying, you can't, you can't, you can't, you can't do this, you can't do that. And then I think she feels probably belittled. So I hear it, Scoopalicious, and that's what I'm working to that's what I'm fighting against in my own mind and in my own heart, because I don't want to have, and I'm sure I will. I mean, there's going to be regrets because I'm a perfectly flawed human being and I don't behave. I don't always behave in the best way. And I know that I'm saying things or treating my mom in ways that I know I'm going to regret. And I try to, hang on to all the things that we talk amongst ourselves with, on our podcast with each other about leaning into peace and setting our standards high and choosing our thoughts and our words and our actions wisely. And what we think about, we bring about, we don't get what we want, we get what we are. All those things, they're all whipping through my mind, and still I act like an asshole sometimes. And yeah, I don't want to live a life of regret. I'm sorry, Erin, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just thinking as you were talking, Paul. I mean, that's called being a human being. You get to be human sometimes too. It's not easy. I was just thinking that when you all were talking about the stubbornness and where that comes in, my parents are very different from one another, and my dad does not, he has a really hard time receiving help from anyone. He wants to be the one to help everyone else and be the provider and be the protector. He has a really hard time receiving that from all of us. So even today, I was thinking I should call him and, tell him we're going to come over and shovel his driveway, in the morning. And he will not have it. Like, he gets adamant, and there have been times where I thought, well, let's just go over there and do it. Like, just show up, do it, and don't say anything, and then I realized there's an element there that he needs to do those things for himself. Like, part of it is wanting to stay physically active. But I think, like, even when you said, and I don't, you know, proclaim to know like what's going on in their minds, but what I observe is, I think part of it is that's what they need mentally, like to know, like, I'm still going to do this. I'm still going to try to, make the effort to do this thing that I've always done, because I think that's how they stay mentally tough, too. And probably physically as well, like they still attempt to do things, like they're not going to be defeated, which I actually really admire, a lot. My mom is like that too, and in that way, and will still say, "Nope, I don't need help with this right now." But she's a little bit more apt to receive help, and but I think that is an element. Maybe sometimes it's not that they don't understand or see what's going on; it's that they have a need to do it anyway, and maybe it's just we don't understand it because we're not in those shoes.
I think that's definitely true. Savvy, what's on your minds?
I think that that's a good point, Erin. Because I tell my daughter all the time, I promise I'm gonna do you right when I get old. I tell her that all the time. I'm like, just sit me in the chair and I'm gonna do you right. But we don't understand the shoot, like we're not walking in that place yet, but we will be in that place ourselves soon. And so like I myself am trying to have compassion and trying to be mindful of that as I, assist my parents, my mother. My dad is very independent, but my mom, I try to assist her. And I just want the best for her. And I think that's the thing I'm trying. I can't give her the best physically because my own health is strained. And so I want the best for her. So I want resources. I'm all about resources. If I know that there's someone out there that could do it, by golly gee willikers, damn it, come do it. That's where I want her, that's where I need the understanding from that end. I feel bad and I love the honesty that both Scrupulicious and Paula are saying, just where you guys are mentally in the after the fact of losing your mother, and then Paula for you in where you are with actively walking with your mother. Like your honesty really speaks to me because I feel frustration and I feel disappointed that we're here. I feel like, oh my God, we're all getting older and now we're moving into this dispensation of time. We're all moving into this space of one foot in the grave. I'm just going to be honest. You know what I'm saying? Like we're all moving into that area. And so it just for me it's frustrating and hard to accept that my parents are getting old because I'm like y'all mama, I still might see myself as 16. I'm not 16, I'm 46. So it's really difficult. Really it saddens my heart. And I want to be patient with my mother. I want to be patient in the situations and speaking. And I find myself getting so short, so like just frustrated. And I don't want to have any regrets. I really don't want any regrets.
That's where I find myself too, Savvy. Minu, give us your 2 cents.
Paula, first of all, what you said is that, you behave like an asshole. I find it hard to believe. It's impossible that
That's my sister.
I still would not believe it. I do understand frustration with parents because, I deal with it day in and day out, especially when there is a lot of distance between me and my parents. It's a different culture altogether. I feel, American lifestyle is more practical and South Asian is more emotionally driven, which drains you because they love sometimes, sorry, I hope my mom doesn't listen to this, but they love to victimize themselves, which makes it very, very hard to have conversation. Like, how do you talk about the real hard stuff? It will happen. And every time I'm there, I'm like, I want to help my parents, but I'm like, oh, I'm here also for my vacation and I don't get to do this and I want to do this. I realize the best, especially in my scenario, is the best is just talk to them, let them vent out whatever they have to say, validate their feelings. They will never accept that they're getting old. It's just hard. So let them make mistakes and then with a pinch of salt, take a back step back and talk to them in a more polite way. You just have to treat them as kids. There's no other way because they don't want to accept help. Like I tell my dad every second day because I'm sometimes literally yelling when I'm talking to him. And my daughter would be like, "Why are you yelling?" I'm like, "Because he's not hearing it." And it's hard for him to accept that he needs a hearing it.
We know nothing about that, Minu.
That's you.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for sharing all of that because you know what, ladies, we're having similar experiences, except for, Scoopalicious, your mama's already gone, but you've got 2 other parents. I'm sure, eventually you're going to be jumping on board this bus too with the frustrations that we're all experiencing. But man, can we relate to the hearing aid situation? Because we got the hearing aids for our mom.
Lucky you. I
And
can
Not
convince my
wearing them.
dad.
she won't wear them. And literally, we have to scream at her. We have to talk very loud for her to hear. Anyhow, what were you going to say, Scoopalicious? Sorry.
My bonus mom has 3 sons. Biologically, she has 4 sons. And so I often think, where would she go? Who would she go to take care of her? Luckily, she's married. She's got a great husband, but I am willing to jump in that role and take care of her because I'm a woman and I don't know if she would want her sons to do some of the things that we might need to do to care for our parents, So I think I've told her that. And I probably need to remind her, but she's got a great situation set up for herself and they're planning ahead. And these are, as we were talking on one of the other episodes, we were talking about setting up a trust. These are also conversations we need to have with our kids. Where do you want to go? Do you want to go in assisted living? Would you prefer to be at home? You know, I kind of have some of these conversations with Savvy. Like even today, she was singing, and I told her, I said, "Will you sing to me when I'm dying?" And because the last thing you hear when you pass is your your hearing. That's the last thing. The last thing you lose is your hearing. The last thing that goes. And she said, "Yes, but I'll sing to you while you're alive too." I was like, "Oh, so sweet." But we have to have these conversations because this is going to happen. We are going to get old. Who's going to look after us? What do we want so we can have these conversations with our kids? Because I don't want to be a burden to my friends. I don't want to be a burden to my children. I don't want you to have to stop living or quit your job or not go to your kids' events because mom needs full-time care. And these are very, very important conversations that need to be had while we're still, somewhat sane. I'm somewhat sane.
I agree. I think about that too. I have one daughter, and I mean, I'm married. Who knows who's going to go first, but probably my husband. I think about me getting older, and I echo your sentiments. Scrupulicious. I don't want to be a burden to my daughter. So like, I'm willing to like go to a nursing home if I get to the point that I need a lot of help. Of course, I'd rather be at home, maybe with a caregiver, but I don't want to burden my child with having to care for me. I want her. I mean, all I've ever wanted for my daughter is for her to have a really happy, fulfilling life, and I want her to have that, until she takes her last breath. I don't want her life to be interrupted to take care of an aging me. So I'm fully on board with that sentiment that we have to, plan for those hard parts of our own life. And how do we want to be cared for, just like you said. So yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot. And I'm a nurse. I've worked in nursing homes, and some are really wonderful, some are not so much. But I think I'll take that over, again, creating a really stressful life for my child. I don't want that on her shoulders. Savvy.
I think I second that. My stepdad has been in a nursing home for some months now. And as I walk those halls to pick up my mother, I just think about what life looks like for me if I had to go into that situation. And I've told my daughter, honestly, it's not the ideal place to go. It's really not, but it's not a bad place to go. So if I had to go there, I don't want to be a burden. And I know that with age comes responsibility. And that's why I'm so big on resources, because if there are resources out there to help minimize, help lighten the load, we should be utilizing those to the best of our ability so that we don't get burnt out ourselves. Those resources are there to help prevent burnt out for the family. And so that's something that I personally want for myself as because life would be life, and y'all. And just because we're 40, we're in our 40s, doesn't mean life don't happen tomorrow. Anything can happen, and we are debilitated and need this care. You know what I'm saying? So we don't even have to be old, but it is definitely conversations that need to be had.
I like how you mentioned responsibility, Savvy. I like to think of it as a responsibility to bring them joy, not a burden. I mean, what is the greatest thing that we want for our children?
Joy.
We want them to be
Happiness.
happy. We want them to be happy.
Mhm.
So why on earth would we think that our parents don't want us to be happy? Why would we think that our parents want us to be burdened? They don't want that for us, and we don't want that for them. And I think it's really important to remember that we are a reflection of our parents. They raised us, whether they did it well or not. We are a reflection of our parents.
100%.
And I have to think that at some point, my parents thought about getting old. My parents thought about losing their hearing. My parents thought about losing their memory. My parents thought about losing a spouse, losing a child, losing a grandparent. They have thought about how they want to be treated. And I just think we need to honor that and do the best that we can to bring them joy. And if that means that they're going to live in a way that is not healthy or in a way that we don't see fit for them, then so be it, because what right do we have to take away their joy? And so when you use those words burden, you guys, I don't like it. They don't want us to be burdened. They don't want us to take away our joy. So no, I don't have those conversations. I don't make those plans for the end of death, because I just want my kids and my family to do it the way that they can handle it in their hearts. I don't want them to think this is what would make my mom happy. I want them to think this is what I need for me in order to feel joy in this moment right now.
Isn't that a conversation in itself, though? So they know that so they know you don't have to do this, baby. It's okay. I want you to be happy.
But
So
they're doing
that
it
would be
because they want to.
Huh?
They're doing it because they want to. When
I
you
know,
think about a
but
funeral,
we feel obligated. There's obligations. It would have been nice if I had like I have had the conversation with my dad. He's already picked the nursing home he wants to go to. He said this is where he wants to go to if his current wife isn't around. I know that. So I am relieved of that pressure, those questions, in case he's not in his mind to say what he wants.
I just think that you have to trust that he believes that you know what he wants, because you're his daughter and he's your father. I mean, my dad and I mean, maybe Paula, you've had these conversations with Dad, but he doesn't ever talk about what he wants for
So
his
then do
funeral,
you
for
trust
his
yourself
dad's.
enough
And
to give him what he wants?
yes,
So you know what
yes, because I don't know what he wants, and I'm not going to plan to act a certain way in those moments, because I have no idea how I'm going to feel.
That's why I'm saying having the conversations. We can't just assume.
Yeah, I don't think I will. I really don't. I don't think that's going to happen for us. I'm going to just have to trust that we know each other and that we've spent enough time together, that I've allowed my parents to parent me, and that my parents have allowed me to do the best that I can as their child.
I have to say, there's such beautiful things that I get to experience right now with both my parents too. Like, as hard as some of the things are, I think my mom's humor totally like shakes everything up. Like, I will get so frustrated at her because she still wants to smoke. Like, she quit smoking after 10 years, and she's almost 80 years old. And she wants
She
to go on
started up again.
she wants to
I
go on a
feel her pain. I feel her pain, damn it.
like, who am I to say, like, you can't do that. It's not good for you. It's going to kill you. Like, she enjoys it, and so she'll call me in the afternoon, like, hey, I need for you to arrange a ride for me. I'm going to go to the store and get myself some cigarettes. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not driving you to go get your cigarettes. So, but we just have that, I think the humor helps a lot, and remembering the fun things and the great things about their personalities. It can feel so intense for me too. Sometimes I feel, a lot of responsibility with taking care of my family and work and, trying to balance all of those different things. But when she throws like those zingers in there, it's just like I can relax and go, yeah, you're right. Like, it's not that serious, like, and let her in. I shouldn't even say like, she reminds me to enjoy myself too. And when y'all were talking, I was thinking about the blue zones. Did you guys ever see that documentary?
Yes, I have.
So there's regions in the world that are called blue zones, and they're the healthiest people on the planet. And one of the most profound thing that they found about studying those zones is that it was the food and, being outside, sunshine, exercise, like all the things that you would think about. But the most profound thing was their connection to the generational relationships. So children being connected to their children and the grandparents and the relationship that the grandparents have with the children, but that is foundational thing in their communities. And the grandparents are active participants in everything they do every day. So not just like, oh, we're going to go over and see mom and dad and like see what they need, us to do, like it's a different mindset of like, they're coming with us, even if they don't live with them, or they'll go walk with them, and I think part of it is just one of maybe the not greatest things about our culture right now is we haven't really figured that out, because everybody started to move into their own homes and own spaces. And then we're trying to figure out how do you make that work as they age, but I don't know, I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but it really made me think of that because I'm so grateful for the interactions that my parents have had with my children, and being able to, like my son was telling me recently that my mom had asked him, I lost something and I cannot find it. And I'm wondering if you can help me, with this. And he's like, what, what do you need help with? And she's like, have you seen my butt anywhere? It just disappeared. And she's gotten so and so frail. Like she's tiny, teeny tiny now, making jokes out of those funny things. She's doing it gracefully and giving us all a laugh with it, and so I really I'm grateful for those moments, and
For
it does
sure.
help me to not get angry because I've been there too, Paula. Like it gets frustrating. It's like, why won't you just
Mhm.
like stop that, But I
Just stop
realized
it.
yeah, but that's not my job, too, and I've had to remind myself of the honor honor thy mother and father, and, like, really think about what that means for me, how am I truly honoring them, in my interaction with them, and but again, we're all human, too, and have those moments, and it's not like they don't understand that too. They're our parents, they've dealt with this all their lives, you know?
They've thought about it. I'm sure they've thought about it. I love that you brought up the blue zones because what I get more out of that is just the importance of multi-generational living because no matter how old our parents or grandparents get, we still have maybe just a little something to learn from them. No matter how
A
much they're losing
lot.
their minds, no matter how much they are needing us to help them, whether it's physically or mentally, we still have a lot to learn from them.
So much. I'm so terrified when my dad and bonus mom aren't here anymore. Like, terrified.
Miss Savvy, what you have to say?
I was just thinking about what you had said, Aaron, and for real talk, I think culturally we are messed up as Americans. I hate to say it. Like we push our kids out at 18 and then we forget about our elderly. Like we have just gotten to a place of our fundamental roots are just totally screwed up
Great.
and so if we I don't know, like getting back to that kind of thought process, it's different when you care for your elderly. It's different in other countries when you come together and everyone is making sure that there's food on the table and everyone's taking care of Uncle Bob. Uncle Bob's in the room with whatever he's got going on. Like we just are a different community. We're different people and ugly people. I don't like America, so don't mind me as I go on that tangent. I think that we need to get back to the hunter and gather kind of mindset and be for one another. But it's difficult in this time, in this culture. It's difficult in this culture. We're required to work. We're required to do so much. It's hard to take care of one another. It's hard to take care of ourselves in that same aspect. And so just trying to navigate through that as well. So
Mhm.
I wanted to say that off of what Aaron was talking about.
If I can just say really quick too, I think that I do love our country. Actually, I think we're filled with a lot of great people, and I think we're being very manipulated. And I don't love where we're at as a nation right now. But when you think about the transition from the family farm and how grandma and grandpa lived with the family. And, grandkids came along and people lived together in community. It's not by happenstance that that happened in our country. It was programming and it was, we could probably go down a whole political rabbit hole. But when you've got people thinking about, like, I'm going to go home or I'm going to, at some age, I'm going to go out and I'm going to take out a mortgage and I'm going to do all these things separate. When you've got all of that broken up, among different families, it's a very profitable system for the people that have interest in that. And it also divides the family, which is unfortunately one of the goals, I think, of people who do not have good intentions for us. So I love seeing the efforts of people wanting to get back to natural lifestyles of growing food and Paula's like doing amazingly at a lot of that stuff. You are, I mean, compared to city folk
Mm.
still, that are, but I just, and some of the traditions that I think our grandparents' generations and the generations before us understood really well, and we had programmed into us that, they were so unintelligent and unevolved and, not modern,
Mhm.
and I think it all connects together of how we arrived here, and some of these predicaments we find ourselves in our own
Mhm.
homes, and for me, it is hard to kind of think about like, what if we all live together again? Because I brought it up to, my sibling, and he was kind of like, I don't know if I'm ready for all of that, thinking about it. So it's a lot.
I
But
agree
yeah.
100%, Aaron. I agree 100%. Just that, you know, number one, the family has been under attack for a long time in the US, especially. Multi-generational living, it's coming back, you guys. I see it every day around the closing table. There are families buying properties together, buying homes together, husbands, wives, children, grandma, grandpa. It's definitely a thing that is coming back to the US slowly. I think it started in 2020. A lot of people just having the fear of, gosh, if we're not living together, the government's going to keep us from seeing each other, that this is not okay. And so more people started coming together and living together at that time. So I do think it's a good thing to go back to those ways, to those roots, the way
Mhm.
that, God intended. We're not supposed to be alone. We're supposed to be in community. We're supposed to take care of each other and be with our family.
Absolutely. Well, ladies, I think this conversation could go on for several more hours, but we're gonna start to wrap it up. But one of the and this whole idea of living in community, Shannon has brought it up to us so many times. Let's buy a house. Let's buy a
And
school. Let's
Yeah, it's
buy
my school.
and I really what
I've got my portion. Let's go.
I want to be
She's
near the
ready.
gym. I want to be near the gym. Go play some
Buy a
dodgeball.
school, we'll have a gym. We'll have our own gym.
What about
Yeah.
my coffee
Oh,
shop?
we'll
Yeah.
build
We
you
can put
one.
that in the school too,
We'll
and
grow
then we
some
can
we'll
set up a
grow some
drive-through
coffee.
around the side to make money. So all you have to do is walk across the hall to your coffee shop that's connected to the kitchen. I got it, Minu. I got you.
Love
So
it.
this is something that we have, maybe jokingly talked about in our little group, in our little nest of maybe living together, living communally together and taking care of each other as we begin to make our own way down the mountain. So there's a lot of conversations that need to happen. I think, whether you choose to have the conversations, or as Lena says, you don't have the conversations because you trust in your heart that you will do the right thing by your parents. It's a road we're all headed down. So we're going to try to navigate that as best we can together. Delicious. Do you want to
Just one
close us
last
out?
Yeah, just one last thing. I would like to have the conversation with you ladies too. Like, could we, if we needed to, how could we look out for each other if we did live in a family compound? Because life, like Savvy says, life be life, and we don't know what's going to happen to our spouse, to our children. Who else would we like to have this conversation with? Like, I'd love to live with you, or I would love to take care of you if you need that. Like the Golden Girls. We can live together if we need to. We have that space to at least be very close. So I just want to throw that out there. I could start a whole little group chat on that one too. So,
All right, everybody. Well, that's where we're going to leave it. And we'll probably have another conversation about aging parents and how we navigate this stage in our life. So thank you so much for listening. We would love to hear your comments, and we wish you a happy Sunday Sunday.
adios.
Sunday, Sunday.
Like, share, subscribe.